The Lightblade Grandmaster is back in Destiny 2, and with the addition of Strand, in ways it is a lot easier. But that doesn't mean Suspend will get you out of every situation, or is at all necessary to be successful. To mitigate those hordes of Hive Guardians, Champions, and alak-hul, let's break down this Grandmaster. I'll go over tips and loadout recommendations for all players, to show that you don't need things like Stasis or Strand Suspend, and then take you step by step through each encounter. With that, let's get started. For the GM modifier specific to Lightblade, you have Empath, increased enemy melee damage received, Chaff, no radar, 12 barrier and 3 unstoppable champions with 7 Hive Sentinel Guardians, a few Arc and Solar Shields, Arc and Void Surge, Overcharged Grenade Launcher, and Arc Threat. Due to the low number of shields, you really don't need to worry about matching elements, especially if you bring an Arbalest with you. What you should worry about are those Hive Guardians and Barrier Champions. For the former, all but 2 are boss level enemies, meaning hard CC abilities like Stasis Freeze or Strand Suspend have no effect on them. They are very tanky and annoying, throwing Void Suppressor grenades and their super shield throws, all which can one-shot you. For this, I recommend high burst damage options like damage supers, linears, and rockets, and super suppressing abilities like tethers or suppressor grenades. And remember, you must finish their ghost, otherwise they'll respawn with full health. Just know, at this time, if 2 people go to finish the same ghost, it's more than likely one of you will get physics to death. For the latter, the barrier champions are straightforward to deal with, they just spawn at troublesome times with other enemies. Here I do recommend Suspend or Freeze if you have them, as they are quite effective, everyone having means of anti-barrier stun, and burst damage like rockets, supers, or linear fusions. And because there are only 3 unstoppable champions, you can have just one person with stunning capabilities, or just whittle them down with primaries and abilities. Another issue that might arise will be a lack of ammo, especially if using rockets. For this, an Aeon or Cenotaph Mask Warlock user will do wonders for your team, or high damage primaries like Malfeasance or Revision 0. Oh, and if you find surviving the Hive Guardians or boss's attacks too difficult, a Glaive is a solid choice, easily tanking the boss's melee attacks and arc barrages, along with them being unstoppable this season. Other than that, make sure to destroy those Hive Moths when you see them, as they will one-shot you, spec into high resilience and arc resist, and bring crowd control builds, either the aforementioned Freeze and Suspend, or high uptime Arc and Void abilities. Now, this GM is difficult, but I believe anyone that can access this Nightfall can beat it. For accessibility, this section will limit recommendations to currently obtainable free-to-play and Witch Queen gear only. So, no Strand or Stasis here. For exotic weapons, Arbalest is the most obvious recommendation, but don't overlook Sweet Business, Centrifuge or Sunshot for champion stuns, or Graviton Lance, Osteostriga, and Risk Runner for add clear and build synergy. For legendary anti-champion weapons, I'd recommend Crate, Emmet AR2, Positive Outlook, Fatebringer, Cantata 57, and the Enigma. Anti-barrier champions are the most prevalent, so I recommend the majority bringing means of their stun. For special weapons, a chill clip fusion like Riptide is great for freezing enemies, snipers for distance play, any glaive for defense, and special grenade launchers for blinding. For heavy weapons, linears like Taipan and Sailspy are great for their ammo efficiency, but for more oomph, go with Hothead or Red Herring. And ideally bring someone with Aeons to create heavy ammo, as there are a lot of mini-bosses for you to finish. On to simple loadouts and builds. Starting with Hunters, Void is amazing with its invisibility, team play, and crowd control, while Arc offers more straightforward ability spam destruction. Let's go with Void to help our team get out of trouble. For exotics, select Orpheus to improve your tethers, Gerfalcon for non-stop volatile explosions and anti-barrier capabilities, or Aeons for ammo. Have on Arbalest or Chillclip Riptide, Void Auto, Graviton Lance or Collective Obligation, and then a linear or rocket depending on your fire team's synergy. To our Titans, Arc and Void are equally great, but to best fight the hordes of enemies, let's be aggressive with Arc. Heart of Inmost Light was made free to play, so select that, Armamentarium, or the revised Point Contact Cannon Brace. Neutral abilities are up to you, but Storm or Pulse Grenades and Thruster provide high lethality with maximum uptime. Pair with weapons like Arbalest, Sorrow's Verse, and your choice of heavy, or try the odd pairing of Sweet Business and a Glaive. Wonderful Warlocks, you can't go wrong with Arc or Void, it just depends on your playstyle and available exotics. For our build, let's go with Arc since it's simple, powerful, and gives Arc buddies to your team. Exotic is up to you, Crown of Tempest is the most straightforward, but Fallen Sunstar or Verities works just as well. Select Chaos Reach and either Pulse or Storm as your grenade, then select weapons like Riptide or a Sniper, Centrifuge for more Arc synergy, and your best heavy weapon. Now for veteran players, let's go over Maximum Spec, which assumes you own all DLCs and all currently obtainable gear. For exotic weapons, Quicksilver Storm is highly recommended for Strand synergy and anti-champion capabilities. Otherwise, Leviathan's Breath and Two-Tailed Fox provide a high damage and stagger, Witherhoard for passive damage, and Wishender for anti-barrier stun. As for legendary anti-champion weapons, nothing truly necessary, just better options for subclass synergy, like with Rufus, Age-Old Bond, and Posterity. Special and heavy weapons add supremacy and succession as great snipers and some special grenade launchers. As for notable armor and builds, Strand and Stasis are the star of the show. Both provide powerful crowd control abilities, but Strand is on a whole other level with infinite suspend capabilities, woven mail for granting insane damage resistance, and all supers providing great burst damage and ad clear. For our hunters, the 6 Coyote and Arachnius pairs nicely with Strand, or try Omnioculus and Star Eater to further buff the light subclasses. Our previous Void build is still a solid recommend, but maybe try a Strand Suspend build with 6 Coyote and Quicksilver. Titans, a Bant Leap on Strand is an obvious recommend, but if you don't see yourself playing aggressive to utilize that exotic, Heart of Inmost Light or even Armamentarium will synergize nicely. For a quick build, try out Strand with Quicksilver for simplicity and high uptime suspend. Lastly, Warlocks. Strand is good, but for general play I think Stasis Warlock is best, with Osmiomancy or Aeons. It's also the most flexible with weaponry, so choose what fits your needs, something like Arbalist, Agers, or even Symmetry. And as a final recommend, if you're using rockets or have ammo issues, bring someone with Aeons. With that, on to the walkthrough. In the opening section, find a vantage point and DPS the boss. Eventually he'll despawn and open the door. Now just head on through. Doing so will despawn the adds and champions and it won't impact platinum rewards. An Invis Hunter makes this easy, otherwise pick a side lane, clear a path, and run on in. If you instead want to warm up and get 2 more res tokens, then slay out here. This next section is the true test. You'll have 3 Hive Guardians, 2 Disciple Knights, and 2 Barrier Champions, along with a slew of Acolytes and Thrall. For safety, you can always retreat to this entryway. Enemies won't come back here and enemy abilities shouldn't reach you, if you're far enough away. Priority should be the 2 Wizards as you immediately enter the room and the close Acolytes. After, communicate which enemies you are focusing on. I highly recommend the Hive Guardian first, but play it by ear as they teleport and jump around like crazy. Watch and call out their grenades and super shield throws as they will one-shot you. To prevent a disaster, do not kill the majority of Acolytes in the middle. Doing so will spawn the second Hive Guardian by the entrance. If you have them, use Suspend, Stasis Turrets, and Freeze to control the enemies in the center. If you're going aggressive with lethal weapons and abilities, just be aware of that eventual second Hive Guardian. Once you have dealt with the Barrier Champion and first Guardian, remember to finish their Ghost. Then pick off the remaining Acolytes. For safety, I recommend being by the room's entrance so that when the second Guardian spawns, you can delete them with abilities and rockets or quickly retreat down the hallway. Once the Guardian and Hive are defeated, the third and final wave will spawn in the center of the room. The third Hive Guardian and 2 Disciple Knights. Just throw everything you have at them. Tether, debuff, suspend, and freeze will work, just not on the Hive Guardian. Finish the Ghost, grab ammo, then proceed. Before you enter the first gondola room, wait for your whole team, because passing through the door will teleport stragglers next to the barrier champions, giving them no chance to survive. Pick off the barrier champions on both sides, then use long-range weapons on the acolytes. You don't have to, but it makes it much safer. Once you are ready, hop on the ship and it'll start moving. Just have your weapons ready for that Shrieker. Then you'll have 2 more Hive Guardians, 1 per side, but these aren't bosses, so freeze, suspend, and blind effects work on them. Still, be careful and don't bunch up. Don't all want to go down in one hit from a grenade or a rogue shield. Throw supers and heavy at them, crush their ghost, and deliver the void orbs to each side. Now this long ship part seems like a nightmare but can be made trivial. To start, all get on that ship, but don't stand by the edge. It can lurch forward when it starts, dropping you to your doom. Focus everything on the wizard in front of you, then jump to the side platforms and parkour your way to the portal on the other side. It's slower, but far safer this way. Just watch for all the wizards, shriekers, and acolytes hiding behind pillars. Through the portal you'll have waves of thralls spawn. Either stay where you teleport to, or jump onto the ship to face them. Throw abilities at them and slay out. If things get dicey, retreat to the lower platform. And be careful, enemy melee damage is buffed. Clear them out, and the ship will continue. For the swamp, brace yourself as you drop down. Now you can either go slow or fast. Slow and steady is safest, so travel as a group and focus fire the enemies as they keep spawning. Just don't bunch up too close in case a rogue moth or screeb explodes. In this section you'll have the Weight of Darkness debuff, slowing your movement and preventing sprinting and jumping. To cleanse it, pass through the Hive arches and stand by the revealed lantern. Just be careful, 3 Hive moths will be waiting, which can one-shot you, so shoot them before they get too close. Now just keep going, but keep your wits about you. For the fast method, on Arc you can speed booster through most of the swamp. Just be aware that at 10 stacks your sprint will auto-stop. Another method is Hunter Perma-Viz if you have Graviton Forfeit and high stats in mobility and strength. Regardless, as long as someone makes it through the swamp, all enemies will despawn. In the penultimate area, you'll have a couple unstoppable champions with Scorn and Hive battling it out. For the cave part, just be careful of the rushing Scorn, Moths, and the distant unstoppable champion. As you ascend, be ready for extra Scorn to spawn and snipe you. When at the cave's exit, stay on top of this platform. Most things will ignore you, just watch for the jumping Screebs and distant ogres. Ignore the boss and just focus on the enemies down below. Feel free to use your supers and abilities, but hold on to your heavy ammo, especially if you're running low, as the next opportunity to get some will be partway through the boss fight. When it's clear, jump down and use cover to take out the Shriekers. Once both are destroyed, the boss will leave. When fighting alak-hul, best advice is to always keep moving and utilize cover. The arena has an upper and lower level. I advise staying on the upper level, provides more cover and safety from the boss and various thrall. The boss is mobile through most of the fight, running and jumping to you, slamming his axe and shooting you with a very long and deadly arc barrage. For extra defense, you can use a glaive to absorb most of the damage, or bait the boss by jumping to and from the middle platform. The boss fight is divided into 3 phases, with additional thralls, champs, and guardians spawning at specific health thresholds. So communicate, tip the boss when you're ready, and don't group up on top of each other. Splitting up 2 and 1 helps to prevent tragedy. And finally, orbs will rain down at certain sections, allowing you to recoup your supers and armor charge. Just be aware of the cursed thrall and boss hunting you down. Phase 1. Boss spawns on the central platform along with normal and cursed thrall on the lower level. Run around and clear out the normal thrall first to safely damage the boss. Conserve your ammo and supers to use after this phase, trust me. At 75% HP, another wave of thrall will spawn. Deal with them, then work on the boss. When at 66% HP, the next phase will start, so spread out and tip him when you're ready. Phase 2. Boss goes immune and teleports to the center platform. There, 2 Disciple Knights and a Sentinel Hive Guardian will spawn. Ideally, you throw your crowd control abilities at that platform to disable, but not kill, the Knights, with options like Deadfall Tether, Flashbangs, Stasis Turrets, or Shackle Grenades. The reason being is when all 3 are defeated, the boss wakes up and spawns Acolytes and Champions. So to control when that happens and not get blindsided, stall the Knights and focus everything on the Hive Guardian. Safely hunt them down and finish their ghost. Then, finish the 2 Disciples and be in position. Upon their death, the boss will start roaming around and pockets of Hive Acolytes with 2 barrier champions will spawn. To make this fight go smoothly, camp the spawns of one of the barrier champions and throw everything you got at them. That way you have more time and flexibility to maneuver around the other. For added safety, you can have one Guardian bait the boss by drawing their attention and jumping to and from the center platform. Using the Orc statue as the reference, the Barrier Knights should spawn at the 1 and 3 o'clock positions, but do note that this can change depending on if you're too close to their spawn. To pretty much guarantee this spawn, group up at the 11 o'clock position. Then snipe at a distance or quickly rush over there to take them out, using your supers, suspend, freeze, and heavy weapons. An alternative method is to be right where they spawn to quickly nuke them. Once both are dealt with, replenish your abilities with the orbs from the center and whittle down the boss. At 50% HP, another wave of Acolytes and barriers will spawn, this time at the 6 and 8 o'clock positions, along with the boss running around faster and more aggressively. Do the same as previous, then prep for the next phase, which starts when the boss is tipped to 33% HP. Phase 3 repeats the start of Phase 2. Like before, control the Knights that spawn, focus the Hive Guardian, then destroy the Knights. The boss will then start roaming around, but you get a little breathing room. You'll have 2 more barrier champions spawning in their first configuration, but they appear around 25% HP. Like Phase 1, bait the boss around, defeat all the normal thrall, and then tip the boss. Throw everything you have at the champions, and when both are gone, it's the home stretch. Don't get cocky, play smart, and finish the fight. With this, hopefully you took down the Lightblade. It's an awesome fight and super deadly throughout, but if you just keep moving, play as a team, and know the how, when, and where of enemy spawns, you'll do just fine. For greater success, bring Strand and Stasis, but as shown, you don't need them. If you have any other questions or loadout recommendations, comment down below. If you found this guide useful, then a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated. And for those wanting to make new friends and dive into the endgame of Destiny 2, come join the Sundog Gaming Discord. As always, I'm your Commander Pika. Be kind, have fun, and I'll see you on the battlefield.